I posted my 6-week Mounjaro progress on social media, especially on Instagram, and the comment section was totally brutal. There were things like, hey, you look younger before, and then someone else commented, your face has aged 5 years. And a lot of people claim that I should have lost weight in the first place because I look much better with a dad bod and with a fuller face. And honestly, I get it. Because when you lose significant weight, especially facial fat, that youthful fullness that we usually associate with vitality can fade dramatically. But here's what those comments miss entirely. They are actually witnessing a predictable sign in action and not a tragic mistake. Today, I'll be showing you exactly what happened to my face during this 6.6 kilogram transformation, what happens on a deep down cellular level, and whether looking old is actually a problem when you're becoming metabolically healthier. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Ingky, and for the past 35 days, I've been documenting every metric and every step of my Mounjaro journey with precise body composition measurements. Now, this isn't just about weight loss. It's about understanding exactly what happens when you use a GLP-1 receptor drug agonist for your transformation. Now, I'm not here to sell you Mounjaro or filtered dreams or even hide the uncomfortable truth. I'm here to defend this process with data, educate your facial anatomy, and show you the complete scientific picture behind what many people experience, but very few truly understand. So the real villain here isn't vanity metrics or aging. It's the dangerous, widespread miscommunication of how fat loss actually works. Now, most people actually believe you can somehow direct where your body actually burns the fats, that you can target specific areas or even preserve good fat while losing the bad fats. Now, this fundamental ignorance leads to really unrealistic expectations and devastating disappointments. Your body does not consult your aesthetic preference when deciding which fat stores to mobilize for energy. Fat loss is actually a systematic process. It follows hormones, energy balance, and genetics. So when certain facial fat pads deflate faster than others, definition increases, shadow deepens, and people interpret this as damage or aging. But it's actually predictable physiology. The same person with different like physics across their facial structure. So to understand why faces change during weight loss, we need to explore the facial anatomy beyond just skin and bone. Your face contains multiple distinct fat compartments organized into two main layers: the superficial and deep fat pads, separated by connective tissue and something known as a SMARS layer. Now, first up, superficial fat pads. They include things like nasolabial fat pads that create the smooth transitions between the nose and the mouth, the medial and lateral cheek pads that gives the fullness to the central face, and the jowl region fats. These superficial compartments act as natural fillers, providing your face with a more youthful look and even light reflection that we typically associate with health. And now they are the deep fat pads, and they contain the deep medial fats, the buccal cheek pads, and yes, these are the same buccal fats that celebrities typically surgically remove, and the pre-zygomatic and temporal pads. These deeper compartments provide structural support, creating smooth contours and seamless transitions from the lower eyelid to the cheeks and along the jawline. So here's a critical insight, that during calorie deficit or when you're on GLP-1 assisted weight loss, these compartments don't shrink uniformly. The buccal fat pads usually deflate first. Deep medial fat pads reduces, but the retaining ligaments don't shrink proportionally. So then what happens? This creates a visible edge, sharper cheek contours, more defined jawlines, and sometimes a hollow mid-face area. Less volume also means more shadowing, so fine lines tend to appear more prominent, especially when skin quality remains unchanged. Now let's anchor this discussion to a more precise data from my 35-day transformation. Let's look at weight. I started at 80 kilograms and now I'm down to 73.4 kilograms, losing 6.6 kilograms. My BMI is now from 28.3 to 26. My body fat percentage went down 3.2%. My fat mass, I lost an overall 4.3 kilograms. Now, however, I did lose a little bit of muscle mass, 5.2 kilograms to 50 kilograms, and I've lost roughly about 2.2 kilograms of muscle. And my visceral fat went from 9 to 7, and my body's physiological age dropped from 46 years old to 44 years old in just 6 weeks. Now, these measurements reveal substantial fat reduction across multiple compartments, including the subcutaneous fat that encompasses facial fat pads. And most importantly, I've actually experienced no major side effects on Mounjaro. Energy has remained stable throughout the entire process. However, the data does show that I have lost 2.2 kilograms of muscle, which I have expected during a calorie deficit, but requires certain strategic attention. So let me make it easier for you to understand. Let me break this down into 3 categories: the good, the challenging aspects, and what I call adaptation rather than damage. So here's the good. The 4.3 kilogram fat mass reduction and a 2-level decrease in my visceral fat represents profound improvements in my metabolic health. Now, this translates to reduced inflammation markers, reduced cardiovascular disease risks, and definitely improve insulin sensitivity. My body's biological age has decreased by 2 years, indicating internal rejuvenation despite external changes. However, here's the challenging part. The 2.2 kilogram of muscle loss requires my immediate attention. Muscle tissue is metabolically active and crucial for long-term health. So I'll need to address this through very targeted resistance training in the gym and optimized protein intake. And here's the adaptation. My feature fascias have become slightly more angular and more defined. The softer, more full features has now diminished, and fine lines are starting to appear slightly more prominent. And some might interpret this as aging, but this isn't actually damage.
Emotional damage.
It's actually a visible manifestation of the scientific process that we have just discussed. Now, my face now reflects discipline, metabolic improvement, and then the natural result of fat pad volume reduction. This transformation has been as much emotional as it has been physical. Now, every morning whenever I look in the mirror and I see the features that are simultaneously more defined and somehow unfamiliar, there's something profound about watching your own face change in real time. It has forced me to confront my relationship with my appearance versus my internal health. So do I regret these particular changes? No, I don't regret them at all. I see them as undeniable proof that my body is responding exactly as how science predicted. Now, fat loss is never just physical. It is actually deeply emotional. You're training the more comfortable, familiar habits and snacking, the softness of the old patterns for better metabolic control. Now, and sometimes it does mean accepting a reflection that shows more structure, maybe shows a little bit more of my age. And yes, the face definitely appears slightly more matured. But this new reflection represents discipline over denial and progress over comfort. So moving forward, I'm actually implementing specific protocols to optimize my transformation. First up, I'm targeting muscle preservation. I plan to take roughly about 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight daily, resistance training 3 to 4 times a week, and as well as take my creatine 5 grams per day. As for my skin, retinoid application on a nightly basis, consistent use of broad spectrum sunscreen, and I also have added an antioxidant super supplement known as LightUp for my skin's health, and a super collagen supplement known as Collagenparty to prevent hair loss and sustain my skin's own collagen production. I'm now halfway through this transformation and the story continues to unfold. So far, no major side effects from Mounjaro. I have stable energy levels and my metrics speaks genuine health improvements. I'll continue documenting my muscle recovery, my strength gains, and how facial volume stabilizes as my body's composition reaches a different equilibrium. So if you want a complete picture, the victories, the challenges, and the unfiltered science behind GLP-1 transformations like Ozempic or Mounjaro, please subscribe and follow my journey. I'm committed to learning in public, sharing every data point, and helping others make informed decisions about their own health transformation. So do help me out, drop your questions in the comments below, stay curious, and let's continue exploring. That's it from me, I'm Dr. Ingky, and never forget to stay healthy, stay safe, and don't forget to stay informed.